Chat, we're looks maxing her. It's all good. Dr. Clav? Yeah.
Is this something that's okay? He's literally injecting a 17-year-old. Coach Greg, in today's video, why you should looks max, or better put, what's wrong with you right now, and you need to do the following things, or essentially, you're a loser. Let's find out what we need to do.
Based on anecdotes, based on numbers, that looks are the most important metric. It would be insane to not prioritize them. That's why I looks max. It's not insecurity.
It has nothing to do with being insecure. It's only because logically, since looks matter most, you're an idiot to not be looks maxing.
It was really just how many social outings I was missing out on due to the fact that I was, slightly neurodivergent. I didn't really grow up attractive.
You're starting to see a pattern of something that happened to him that made him to be out like this. And so parents, make sure your kids have friends. Force them to do things that maybe they don't want to do. Make them learn patience, rather than letting them sit there on their phones every single day doing nothing.
So the looks maxing community talks about two concepts. So there's soft maxing and hard maxing.
Now, if you're trying to hard max the downstairs, don't forget, harder than last time, code Greg, 15% off.
Soft maxes are things that are not very extreme looks maxes. That would be something like getting a tan, getting lean. And these are phenomenal.
And so soft maxing, 70% of your potential. And these are easier things to do. In other words, the low-hanging fruit. And so these are some things that I actually think that they make sense. I mean, we're not talking about getting cheek implants here. We're talking about simple things that you can do.
Because you could get all the surgeries in the world, but if you're high body fat, you're not going to be able to see the bones that you're augmenting, right? So it really does go a long way to just get tan and get lean.
How hard is that? To have some kind of pigmentation in your skin, whether it's a fake tan and a lower level of body fat. In other words, don't be fat. Same applies to females. If you want to be above average looking, don't be fat. It's easy.
Hard maxing is taking pharmaceutical drugs. It's getting surgery. It's steroids, things like this.
I wanted to go through some maxes.
And so we're going to find out what actually works and what actually is just coping.
Growing a beard.
It's contextual. If you can grow a beard that can give your face a little bit more structure, the perception of more development, then absolutely.
And so growing a beard, if you don't have a strong chin, you can grow a beard to hide that factor, and it actually can help. But for most people, the Chads of the world, you're going to be clean shaven.
Mewing.
Mewing is dope, and it's actually required during development. If you have improper tongue posture and improper breathing habits, then you're not going to develop correctly.
Now, the thing with mewing is it's beneficial when you're a baby. Unfortunately, when you're old, you're not just going to just chew and completely change your jawline. And so by the time you start mewing, it's not going to make any noticeable difference.
Bone smashing.
So bone smashing is dope. So what I do is I use the swelling to my advantage. So I'll bone smash, and then I will cover up the inflammation with makeup.
Bone smashing, and I'm not talking about doing that.
Yeah, boy.
It's literally hitting his face, laying on a bed so he doesn't pass out because, if you hit too hard, you could have a concussion. Punching so many times that you get some swelling, and you then have to cover up the swelling with makeup before you go out to the bar. And so picture this. It's time to go out to the club. Your boys are saying, hey, are you ready? Give me a few minutes. And you start beating your face in, you cover it up with makeup, and then you stick needles above your eyes in order to have hunter eyes. Is that the length that you're going to have to go to in order to get a girl? This is ridiculous. This is stupid. This doesn't make any sense. This is moronic. If you need to go to those extents, find a different girl. Find girls who don't need that. Now, I get it. Women, they do this. It happens all the time. But it's not their fault. They're doing what others are doing. Men, we don't have to go through these lengths. We don't have to, as men, put on a false image to the world in order to attract the ladies.
Using FaceApp to fraud on social media.
Dope.
And so what's next? Should we use a waist filter? Should we change our appearance? Isn't that known as catfishing? And so he's a fan of catfishing. You show a false image of yourself, perhaps add 4 inches to your height, and then when you go on that date with that girl, she's gonna be thinking, who are you? I thought you were 30. Why do you look 50? And why are you 5'6"? I thought you were 6 feet tall. I think it's better to, on day one, show exactly who you are. Have your Instagram showing you, of course, in your best light, but actually be you. And when you meet that girl, also be yourself. Be confident and present the best version of yourself, but let it be actually you. Don't fake the relationship, because imagine, if you're presenting a false version of yourself, make up the whole thing, not acting like you really are, and you eventually find out that that girl isn't in love with you anymore. Well, she probably discovered that you're not really that person and she's going for someone else. But if you can be yourself and she falls in love with you, she's not going to jump ship the moment she sees someone more attractive.
Ozempic.
Dope. GLP-1s in general, the same mechanism. Obviously, you're going to want to go with retatrutide.
I actually agree with him. Now, here's the thing. He's on abusive doses. 15 milligrams of Retta, that is above and beyond what anyone should be taking. He's not morbidly obese and he doesn't need it. Ozempic, for example, there's about $1 billion in lawsuits against it, and it's not for everyone. Does it work? Absolutely. Now, Retta, on the other hand, doctors can't prescribe it. And in comparison, Ozempic and tirzepatide actually are. If you're going to use one of these three, it should be either Ozempic or tirzepatide, and you should be getting it from a quality source, not some SARM site where you don't even know what it is. And so if you're interested in getting quality pharmaceutical grade Ozempic and or tirzepatide, you can get it from AlgoRx. Remember, it's prescription medication prescribed to you by doctors. There's no gatekeeping. And what I want you to do is compare their prices to first Merrick Health. And once you see how much cheaper it is with AlgoRx, you're going to want to get it from them. And remember, it's pharmaceutical and it's prescription and it's legal. And no, they're not going to sell you Retta because it's not legal. They all work exceedingly well at reducing your appetite, your cravings, but they do come with negative side effects. For example, you could get diarrhea, you could get nausea. And my main problem that I'm seeing is that people are using too high of a dose. You shouldn't take a dose that's so high that you don't want to eat. It should be just strong enough so that you don't have that food noise. And so when you realize that all you need to do to be attractive is to not be fat, I really think that people who are obese, it is in fact a miracle drug. He's saying it's a miracle drug. I do believe so. And I'm giving him my honest opinion. I think that there is going to be more harm done by being obese or morbidly obese than by being at a healthy weight, even though you have to use Ozempic. Now, many people are going to hate me. Coach Greg, why don't you just tell them that they need to do cardio and eat a healthy diet? How many times, it's in the thousands, I've said to do 150 minutes of cardio a week and to put the fork down, to eat healthy. I continuously push my cookbook and the Circle diet. Lose weight by eating high protein, high fiber, high volume meals for the big eater. Delicious recipes. But for some people, they have more fat cells, their genetics, they suck, and they just cannot lose the weight because they're so frigging hungry. Why not use a combination of both? Now, if you're looking for something over the counter that you don't have to inject GLP Max, your hunger go from an 8 out of 10 to a 6. And so if you can do that, just losing the weight, you have no idea the difference it can make in your life. Looks maxing should begin with getting to a healthy weight. Don't forget to enter code Greg. See you at AlgoRx or HDLT supplements.
A lot of men are super against using makeup, and I don't know why. It's just about not getting caught. Right? If you could use makeup and no one knows, then there's no reason why you shouldn't.
And so his suggestion, use makeup in secret and no one will find out until they do. How are you going to live the rest of your life without your woman finding out you're using makeup?
I don't think about societal implications or something being gay because some retard, said that. I'm just worried about results at all costs.
Technically, it's not gay if you're doing it to get a girl. It's just weird. Now, just because something's weird doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. And so I do get his point. But remember, there's certain lines that you don't want to cross because once you've put on that makeup and you see yourself looking better, how are you going to go back to being natural? And so he's saying you'll never get caught. But what if on one day they see you without the makeup and the next day they see you with it and the next day without it? It's something that now that you've used it, you have to continue to use it, which is the same thing as using steroids. Once they've seen you on steroids, looks maxing your physique, how are you going to go back to being natty? And what about this? Why are we injecting fat dissolvers into a 17-year-old? It's one thing if it's done by a doctor on an adult who makes a decision whether it's a good or a bad. They're adults. 17-year-olds are not adults, and they shouldn't be making decisions like this. And if you're injecting them without a medical license, then what's wrong with you?
Chat, we're looks maxing her. We're looks maxing her. It's all good. Dr. Clav? Yeah.
Some say looks maxing, others say grooming. Is this something that's okay? We're going to start getting young teenagers, let's say 16, 17 years of age. We're going to say, you know what? You need this and you need that. And it's not just women, it's men. What happens when the next 14-year-old hires him for his course? Hey, I want a looks max, I'm 14. And he looks at him, and Clavicular says, you know what? What I did at 14 was I took testosterone 300 milligrams a week because, well, puberty isn't enough. Do you think that a 14-year-old is maybe going to be convinced that they should be doing the same? If you think that they are not, you are a friggin' moron. And so, can you see how this is no different than Togi? Promoting gambling. Many are going to say, no, he's nice, he's attractive. You're going to think there's nothing wrong with that. He's just giving an opinion. He's literally injecting a 17-year-old. How is that just giving an opinion?
What drug do you think everyone should take?
Testosterone, 100%.
Everyone should be on testosterone. This is coming from somebody who's been on testosterone since the age of 14. You don't need testosterone if you don't need testosterone. It's a Gregism. If you're already a normal guy, a normie, normies don't need steroids as teens. This is when your testosterone is already going to go through the roof. You're already going to make gains. You're already going to improve. You don't need it.
How much test do you take?
Right now I'm on 280 milligrams of testosterone.
280 milligrams. You all know I'm on 140, and so he's on double the doses that I'm on. Many of you have seen his physique. Does he look like his physique would be unattainable natural? That if he put in the work and trained hard, that he wouldn't eventually be able to get the muscles that he has right now? And so he's not on HRT. He's on a cycle, 280 milligrams, of which he started at 300 and has cycled in different things in the past, Masteron and orals. This is not replacement doses. And with this comes negative side effects, including losing your hair, which he speaks so highly of the importance of hair, as well as acne. He's literally on Accutane. You know how bad that is for your liver?
Testosterone is going to cause your face to bloat a little bit, carry a little bit more water. You start to run into the side effect profile at, I would say, around 350 to 400 milligrams for most people.
This is complete horseshit. He has no idea. Many people, even on my dose, 140 milligrams, would experience problems. And so, unless you're getting your blood work done and you're being monitored by a doctor, you have no idea what you're doing. How many think he was monitored by a doctor at 14 years of age? Do you really think his parents brought him to the doctor and said, hey, he's on testosterone, let's make sure he does it right? Yeah, his dose is 300 milligrams. What do you think the doctor would have said? If you do want to get your blood work done, of course, AlgoRx, code Greg, 10% off. Qualified doctors will give you an exact protocol explaining exactly what you need. In case you're healthy, not healthy, you want to find out, AlgoRx for all your blood work.
What's the best peptide for better erections?
Well, it's not going to be a peptide. It's a different class of drugs. It's going to be Cialis.
And Cialis, yes, I have in fact done a video on this. If you're 100% natural and you're having difficulties with the downstairs, and you perhaps already tried harder than last time, and you're trying to go to the gym, you're trying to get a better pump. If you have low body fat levels, a small dose of Cialis, which for most people is healthy. Remember, be sure to check with your doctor. And by small dose, I'm meaning 5 milligrams, perhaps 10 at most. It can, in fact, be healthy for you. And it can, in fact, help you to look max because you're going to see more veins. You're going to look more pumped, more swole. And so if you don't want to use steroids, you don't want to cross that line, Cialis is not banned by WADA. And so if you do, in fact, use Cialis, you're still natural according to the Olympics and other natural organizations. Interested in Cialis and Viagra and Clomiphene, HRT, AlgoRx, code Greg, 10% off.
What would you say are the best and worst steroids for muscle growth?
The best steroid is testosterone. And I would say the worst by far is Masteron.
I agree with that. Testosterone in low doses prescribed by a doctor, I think that's the best steroid that they have. It's the one that mimics exactly what your body has. And so if you're getting replacement doses, I can see that. The worst is certainly not Masteron. How can he say the worst is Masteron? Has he ever heard of Tren? What about halotestin? Are you kidding me? We're going to take toxic orals and think that that's somehow better than Masteron? Masteron is not as bad as he's saying. Tren is, in my opinion, the worst.
The usage for Masteron. It has to be taken at a certain period of your life for it to be effective. And that has to be during puberty so you could reap the benefits of the penile development.
What kind of advice is this? You have these people are watching this guy. They're probably 13, 14 years of age, and they're measuring themselves, and they're thinking, yeah, this is not good. I'm not at the 95th percentile, and so I need to Cockmaxxer. Imagine many of them are going to be thinking, you know what, I need to get some Masteron, and they're going to take that because they're going to feel like, well, if I don't take this, what am I going to do with my woman? Is this really the message that we want to send? And do you really think it's going to make that much difference? And even if you think it's going to make a difference, even if it is, what percentage of Masteron do you think is actually Masteron? Not a lot. And so be careful what you put into your body because most likely it isn't what you think.
The last macro that you might not have heard is dietary fat because there's no reason for it, right? Especially if you're enhanced, you don't need dietary fat.
You don't need fat. So long as you're on HRT, fat is not an essential nutrient. It's actually the opposite. You need fat, but you don't need carbs. Not saying that you should cut out carbs, nor am I saying you should cut out fat. I believe everything should be consumed in moderation. But he's saying fat isn't needed. Fat is, in fact, needed. Think of it. He's literally saying to Cockmaxxer, if you're on testosterone, fat, you don't need it. Carbs around your workout, and protein the rest of the day.
So what's your diet look like in a day?
My diet varies a good amount in terms of my food selection, but the macronutrients stay very similar.
And so essentially his diet is 250 grams of carbs before working out, and for the rest of the day, air-fried chicken. Did I mention he's on 15 grams of Retta?
I'm taking testosterone every single day because I'm taking a very short ester of testosterone, right? Some people take long esters so they don't have to inject as frequently, but that can cause a plethora of issues.
Another mistake, you don't switch from an enanthate to a prop thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to have much more stable levels of testosterone. Prop ester has to be done every day or every other day. Enanthate, you can get away with doing it less frequently. And so if your estrogen levels are too high, rather than thinking I'm going to switch to prop, try injecting more frequently. But here's the real problem. If you have too much conversion to estrogen, most likely your dose is too high. How many of you think that him being on double the dose that I am, a 15-year-old man who abused steroids for 10 years, how many of you think he needs that and that somehow is optimal?
I use crystal meth. I'm pretty much using meth for hollow cheeks.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at in terms of Cockmaxxing.
And you try to claim that you don't have body dysmorphia and you're just trying to Cockmaxxer. He talks about having a high IQ and to maximize his cognitive function. Maybe he should try that, and then if he did so, he'd realize he doesn't need all these surgeries.
I just like to say stuff like that for the shock factor because it's just like an initial hook.
It doesn't just sound outrageous, it is outrageous. Now, mind you, of course it's in lower doses, but do you really need any dose? Like, really? Come on.
I also will take retatrutide once a week, 15 milligrams. Retatrutide will increase your lifespan. Retatrutide is incredibly healthy and good for you.
He says it with confidence and conviction, and he's an attractive man who's 6'2" tall. When people hear him say this, they are actually going to believe it. But how many people think that Retta is going to improve your lifespan if you're taking 15 milligrams a week? Each vial is 5 milligrams. That is an absurdly, ridiculously high dose. And so even if something is safe in smaller quantities, once you take it in absurdly high gigadoses, is it really going to be just as safe? Retta is being experimented on to see if it could possibly be used by doctors to prescribe to people who are obese and or morbidly obese. Not for people who are already sub 15% body fat and who are in fact teenagers, who are also using meth, who have body dysmorphia. And so when you think of all of this, realize that Retta is not legal. It's an underground product that might be legal in the future after it passes certain safety profiles.
So what we're going to see over the next few years is a lot more willingness for teenagers to start using things like HGH to get taller, aromatase inhibitors, and we're already seeing that.
And so what are we going to see in 10 years? Well, we're going to see a lot more of this. The Gen Alphas that are coming up, these guys are all going to be on performance-enhancing drugs. They're going to be on steroids as teenagers. They're going to be looks maxing, and all for what? What is even going to be the point? No one's going to go out into the real world and actually talk to anyone. They're going to be sitting there with their ocular devices playing WeChat with everyone. No one's going to go to the bar. People aren't going to drink. They're going to think, why would I leave my house? I'm going to sit here safely in my bedroom and talk to strangers from morning until night. This is the future. People aren't going to go out there and see people in the real world. And it all started because of that stupid C word where people actually think that the government actually cared.
If you compare that to what bodybuilders and IFBB pros are taking like a tenth of what anyone, who's super committed to the gym is taking.
You know what he didn't mention that he's also on? Smoking a lot of that copium. What people do in order to cope is they find the most extreme example and say, in comparison to them, I'm on nothing. It's like me doing nothing. I'm on 140 milligrams. You're on 280. I'm not on IGF-1. I'm not on growth hormone. I'm not on meth, nor Addies, and I'm not on Retta. And so compared to this IFBB Pro, you're on way more than Coach Greg.
So if you have a son one day, would you recommend that he did what you did?
Absolutely, because I would be very confident that under my supervision, we could really make a lot of progress.
And so let's pray he doesn't become a dad. The fact that he doesn't think anything could go wrong under his supervision, this is what shows that kids have no idea what they're talking about.
I think normal people want to live in fantasy land. They won't have the IQ to be able to have that kind of amount of money saved up and be able to have the means to get these surgeries.
As smart as he was, he couldn't see that he doesn't need facial reconstruction surgery or limb lengthening surgery when you're already 6'2" and good looking. And so what good is this high IQ? Does Mr. Mike, famously had over 200 mistakes on his PhD, with his IQ famously over 160, what good was that for him? I'm starting to think the smarter you are, the dumber you actually are.
Just do whatever it takes is what I would say. Kind of piggybacking off of Rich Piana's whole mentality. I think I'm someone who's very similar, and that's someone I grew up watching.
Whatever it takes. Did I not say maybe, just maybe, that man influenced them just a little bit? Do whatever it takes. And so if you don't think that your favorite fitness influencer is actually influence you, think again. And so be careful who you're watching. Is it Jeff Nipaw, the dropout dentista? Is it Mr. Mike? Is it Coach Greg? Will Tennyson? Or is it perhaps Togi encouraging gambling, sniffing creatine, and taking testosterone? Or this man, Clavicular, telling you don't look good enough? Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please like the video if you liked it. Don't forget to watch one of those two bloops. And of course, if you're looking for any of the supplements, you can get them. Code Greg, 15% off. And we're looking for ambassadors and or sponsored athletes. Please click the link. And if you're looking for carrying any supplements into your stores or gyms, click the link. Don't forget about the cookbook as well as Algo RX. And of course, if you're looking for coaching, hit me up and click the link. And until next time, I am out.